এতক্ষণ যে প্রেস কনফারেন্সের ছবি আমরা দেখেছি, সেই প্রেস কনফারেন্সে যিনি এই ইন্টারন্যাশনাল অবজারভারদের যিনি চেয়ারপারসন হিসেবে দায়িত্ব পালন করছেন, তিনি মার্কিন সিনথিয়া এন মাকিনি। বাংলাদেশকে খুব ভালোবাসেন প্রশ্ন করেছিলাম একটা, এবং তারপরে উনি নিজে এসে আমার সঙ্গে কথা বললেন, এবং বাংলাদেশের সঙ্গে একটা ছোট্ট যোগাযোগ তার আছে। তিনি নর্থ সাউথ ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পলিটিক্যাল সায়েন্সের শিক্ষক, তিনি শিক্ষকতা করেন, এবং বাংলাদেশের সব রকমের পলিটিক্যাল যেসব ঘটনাগুলো ঘটছে বা এবারের নির্বাচনের ব্যাপারেও একটু অফ দ্য রেকর্ড জিজ্ঞেস করেছিলাম। তিনি তার ছাত্রদের চোখে এবারের নির্বাচনটা দেখেছেন। তবে আমি মাকিনেকে সামনে পেয়ে, কাছে পেয়ে ছোট্ট করে একটু 1 টাকার খবরের জন্য জেনে নিতে চাই, হাউ ডু ইউ describe this election, the Russian election? I just coined one word in particular, like this is genuine election. Why this word? You just put this word, it's a genuine. Is there anything in genuine?
Well, the reason I think it was characterized as genuine is because it was so easy and welcoming for the voters.
Okay.
So you had a military presence, you had a police presence, there was security at the polling stations, but they weren't there to interfere with what the voters were doing. Right. They were there to protect the voters. And there was music, there was food.
Yes.
They even, yesterday was my birthday, so they even sang me happy birthday. It was just like a festival.
And the biting frost.
Well, yeah, and I don't have a coat.
Good, okay.
But I do have my trusty Bangladesh silk.
Oh my God.
And it keeps
So
me
sweet.
warm.
So it's warm from Bangladesh. So you ask every time it keeps you warm.
That's right. Right
lovely.
here in Russia.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead. Ma'am, my question was something like what I followed last few days, that somehow West and in particular America is trying to, influence this election. So have you find something as a observer? And they, I read an article. It said that America has trying to motivate people, Russian people, not to vote. So, what is the reason behind?
I think the Bangladeshi people are very aware of U.S. interference in the election process. And the United States tried in Bangladesh, and the United States is continuing to try in Russia. The fact is that, in my opinion, this kind of badgering is like it produces the opposite effect.
Okay.
And so, at least here, the turnout was high.
Yes.
I mean, in the United States, on a local level, we can have turnout at 10%, 15%. So basically, the winner gets 50% plus one of 10%, right? No kind of mandate. But here, on day one, the turnout was like 30%.
37%.
See, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of the statistic, but that's just from my experience in going around to the precincts. So now I don't know what the final number is, but I'm sure that the turnout is really, really high.
88%.
88%.
Yes. And the winning president, he got 85% of 88%.
Yeah, 8%. Right.
Yeah.
That's a mandate.
Yes.
That's a mandate. So I think we in the United States need to learn what it is that the magic is that inspires people to take their time, go to the polling precinct. Well, now in Russia, you don't even have to take your time to go there. You can just whip out your trusty device
Yes.
and say, "Oh, let me
okay.
vote,"
Mm-hmm.
and there it is. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it should be.
So when people like us from South Asia, when we vote in the device and the electronic voting, so the question comes of rigging and
Yeah.
fake and something lot many things happen in the device,
Right.
and that's in particular American, So,
It's true.
So how do you, define this election free, fair, no rigging when they talk about the electronic voting?
Okay, so in our 2000 presidential election down in Florida, Florida was the state that decided whether it was going to be Bush or Gore that would go to the White House. And
I
Gore,
remember.
okay. So Gore supposedly lost Florida, which sent George W. Bush to the White House. Well, I have a friend who had a contract in Florida to provide the voting machines. Well, what happened was one of the voting machines, this was later made public because my friend became a whistleblower. One of the voting machines began the day at minus 16,900 votes.
Okay.
Which meant that 17,000 people had to vote before the machine went to zero.
Okay. So
actually, George W. Bush didn't win,
okay.
but George W. Bush served 8 years in the White House. So, after a while, the people in the United States began to understand that by the time Trump came around and said the system is rigged, well, people knew it. It wasn't just my voice, it was a lot of voices that were saying that system is rigged. And when Trump came along, he said it, and he inspired a lot of new voters to vote for him. That's how he won. And he won in 2020, but there was some rigging that took place. And that's how Joe Biden, I served with Joe Biden in the Congress, but that's how he became the president, not by merit, but by rigging.
Very strong statement.
It's true. It's true.
Always truth is strong.
That's right.
Stronger than anything.
Right. And the hammer that comes on my head can also be strong.
Same can come in my head, Okay. And then we have to learn. What is your suggestion for the leaders to, work on for the, for win the heart of the people?
Well, I wrote my dissertation on Hugo Chavez because when I went to Venezuela many times, and the people actually absolutely loved him, and they loved him because he was accountable. And this element of accountability, he had a TV show, Allo, Mr. Presidente, and he would take the entire ministry leaders there, the ministers, to the show with him. Someone calls up and says, you made a promise and you didn't keep your promise, then it's a public kind of accountability, and the problem was, I guarantee you the problem was solved. When Hugo Chavez mysteriously died, although, it was that he had cancer, but how did he contract the cancer is one question. But when he died, I was at his funeral, and I was literally crushed by millions of people who were crying and throwing their arms up so expressively. And I said at that moment, I must write my dissertation on him because I want to know why he was so loved. And the reason he was loved so much was because he delivered to the people. So now, here's the thing. I believe if you can deliver to your people, you will be loved, and you won't have to rig or resort to corruption or anything like that, because the reward will come to you from the people who love you.
And then my last question. You experienced Bangladesh election this year,
Yes.
7th January, and we had like only 48 plus minus percentage of voter they come out, and here in Russia it's 88%. So how do you compare these two, the people, the voters, the leadership? How do you compare?
Well, I see the Bangladeshi people as very hardworking people, and the economy has been successful pre-COVID. Has been successful, in my opinion, because of the hardworking Bangladeshi people.
Yes.
And I am in a privileged position because I get a chance to teach a lot of the students. And I can honestly say that there is a disillusionment that is pervasive among young people. And acts like the Digital Security Act don't help the situation when young people feel that their voices cannot be heard. And so I think if the government would have less of a heavy hand on people just expressing one way or the other, anything, I think it would improve the atmosphere. But right now, the atmosphere is not good. People are self-censoring, and so then you get an election where 60% of the people don't participate.
Yes. But the same happened in Bangladesh also. What you guys observed and experienced in Russia, there is a huge campaign for not to vote. So Bangladeshi people somehow,
They fell for
they
it.
fell for it. Yeah. So what is your advice to us, the people of Bangladesh? Do we fall on anything from west, east, whatever?
Well, I think that the Bangladeshi people, and I started in 2014 teaching at North-South University, but there's a heavy dose of Eurocentrism. And if the West says it, then it's the best. And that is wrong, because in Bangladesh, you have a civilization that's thousands of years old. And you should be very proud of who you are and what you have accomplished in the world and where you're going to take your own country. At least your country belongs to you right now.
Yes.
And you should keep it that way.
Yes. That's our pride. No? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay.